Hey guys, I just wanted to jump in for a second and let you know a little bit about today's live stream sponsor, DNA Funded. DNA Funded has very generous profit sharing up to 90% and 3 different unique challenge types. For those looking to get funded, they also have speedy payouts, unlimited trading days on the first and second phase of their challenges, a very wide list of different things you can trade with over 800 different assets tradable, and maybe the most important component, a very experienced team behind the whole operation. So if you're interested in learning more about DNA Funded, click the link, check it out, see if it's right for you, and make sure to do your own due diligence to see if what they have to offer fits your trading style. For 20% off, you can use code A1T20. Again, that will be 20% off any of their challenges you'd like to check out. Thank you again to DNA Funded for sponsoring today's live stream. Now back to the show. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to another live stream. And happy Friday to you. We got a bunch of people in the chat. Good morning from me, of course. Good evening, good wherever you are in the world. Hope you're doing well, and thank you for tuning in. Okay, so we've got some big stuff here today. We've got the PCE number, which I was just pulling this up just so we can have this in front of us. We have core PCE, which of course is a really important metric for the Federal Reserve when it comes to inflation. So we've got that data coming out in just about 10 minutes or so. We're going to talk a little bit about some setups, talk about what's going on in the markets here today, and what my thoughts are, of course, on, for example, my silver trade, which has pulled back a little bit. We'll talk about indices. We'll look at the dollar, all sorts of good stuff. As we get started, if you're a fan of the daily streams, do me a big favor. Make sure to hit the thumbs up button, subscribe, and really quick, let me know down below in the chat room here or the live stream chat, where are you tuning in from? Thanks for being here. I sent an email to your support team. When will I most likely get a response? Pretty soon. It's at where I am. It is 8:18 in the morning. So usually most of the staff is in by 9 a.m. So you'll get responses as soon as we're kind of back in office. So stay tuned. They will get to you as soon as we can. We got Andrew from Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, Thailand, Zimbabwe. Cool to see it. People from all over. Okay, so S&P 500 and NASDAQ are lower here this morning. We'll see if this has any sharp moves in response to inflation. There's a good chance that inflation is going to cause move if there is something of a surprise. So let me just really quick put into context here what we are looking at in terms of expectations. So I'm going to look at the core PCE number year over year. So consensus or expectations here are 2.9% for core PCE year over year. On a month over month basis, consensus is 0.3%. So the way to read this would be, essentially, you're going to look at, is this number that comes out higher or lower than the expected? Now, if the number comes in as expected, then it's likely not to cause a very big move in the markets, right? Remember that news is only exciting if it's news, right? If it's actually new information to the market and it's actually interesting, then it can cause spikes. But So often, right, traders, also let me turn on my little lamp here. Hold on. There we go. It's going to bother me. It's only market moving, remember, if it actually is a surprise or new information to the market. So we are looking to see if there is a higher or lower number than what is expected, which could help to set the direction of the day. If you get inflation numbers that are higher than expected, what would that do to markets? Well, it would likely suggest, okay, dollar could firm up a little bit, meaning it could move higher. Yields could also make a move higher. Stocks would probably trade lower. Gold and silver would probably trade lower. If you get an inflation print that is soft, suggesting, okay, we've got inflation cooling nicely or better than expected, then that would do the opposite of what I just said. It would probably cause the dollar to move lower, to gold move higher, silver move higher. Stocks would like that, right? And yields would also come down. So we are looking at inflation data so heavily because it's going to help us determine if the Federal Reserve is likely to cut interest rates in September, in October and December, right? It's a really big question mark right now for the markets as to how many rate cuts we're likely to get. What would you consider soft, Nick? Anything lower than expected, right? So a soft inflation print would be anything less than the market is expecting, right? Is a 2 point, it's not, forget this number for a second, right? It's not about, oh, is inflation at a high point or a low point or whatever. The market trades based on what it's expecting versus what it actually gets. It doesn't matter what this number is. Ignore that. It matters what that number that comes out is in relation to the expected. If I told you that it was expected to be very rainy on Saturday and we had plans to go do something on Saturday, right? Obviously, you're like, dang, that stinks, but you're expecting it to be rainy on Saturday. What if Saturday comes and the sun comes out and it's a beautiful day? You're going to be pleasantly surprised and it's going to be a good news, right? That's how markets react too. Markets don't react necessarily to what this number is expected to be. It matters what the actual values come out. Do they beat the expectation, etc. Exactly, Angus. You bring your umbrella, right? So you're expecting rain. So you're already like, okay, yeah, rain. It's not going to shock me if we get rain. But if you get the sun come out, oh, now you're shocked. Now you're surprised. Now you're happy, right? That's how markets trade too. It's all about forecasts and expectations. If I can dote on the Edge Finder for a second, the Edge Finder is cool because what it does is when it looks at economic data, it looks at data points as they're coming out relative to expectation. The algorithm automatically does what we're discussing, right? So if I pull up the US economic heat map just for reference, it's looking at GDP statistics, which, by the way, surprised to the upside. Remember, this factor of surprise is very important to how markets trade. It's not about the forecast. It's not about the actual. It's about the relationship between the two, aka surprise. So with your software, if you're going to be scanning, if you're going to be a fundamentalist, you need to have something in front of you that shows what was the surprise, what was the market's like. What this column is what moves the market. Okay, surprise. That's what causes moves to sustain themselves or to make a big shock move in one direction. Surprise, right? People, if everyone's expecting rain, right, that doesn't, and then we get rain, that doesn't move the market. What gets the market moving is we expect rain, we get sunshine, and then boom, right? Or we expect sunshine and we get rain, right? It's all about forecast versus actual. So having a software, again, I know this is my quick sales pitch, but having a tool that helps you to automate that process is why we built it, right? That is why it is such a popular tool, is because we are scanning all that data and making a heat map to do exactly what I just discussed on an automated way. All right, so we have got just about 6 minutes to go here. And let's take a look at some markets. So if inflation comes in hot, that would likely roll over stocks. Indices would likely have a push lower, right? S&P 500 just tagged through that all-time high. From a technical basis, this still looks like a very bullish chart. Somebody yesterday was teasing me. They said, Nick, you've been calling for a top on the stock market for months. And to their credit, I have been really cautious on stocks. But I was disappointed when reading that message, because what that tells me is maybe I didn't clarify enough. I felt like I clarified many times that there is a difference between being cautious and sidelining, right? Not taking positions, and shorting the market. I have no short positions on the market. I have no bearish bets on the market at this time. Do I think that they are stretched? Sure. Do I think the risk to reward to the upside makes sense right now? Not really. I've said that 100,000 times on my channel recently, but there is a big difference between calling a top, right, and just sitting on your hands and waiting for pullbacks. I'm definitely in the latter camp, and if there is a point in my last 3 or 4 months where I've said I'm short the market, please let me know, because I have not taken any sort of short positions on the market. So I just want to clarify that when it comes to indices, if they move lower, I'm not going to cheer that I was correct, right? Because again, I've been waiting for a pullback for a little bit, but stocks mostly have been trading sideways, especially tech stocks, right? So if you look at NASDAQ, you've had, big pop, drop hard, jump up, back down, come up, down a little bit here. They've really traded flat for the last few weeks. So I'm still just waiting. I'm staying complacent in waiting on indices to pull back. S&P 500 also looks a little stretched. Dow Jones. But again, let me just reiterate, stretched, me saying they look stretched does not mean I think that they're going to come down, right? I'm not making the bet, shorting the market, that I think the market's going to go down. When something's in an uptrend, I try not to short that, right? I try, especially, well, maybe in currencies where they're longer term, they tend to mean revert. But in indices, no way, Jose, as they say. Russell. And by the way, I've not been completely sitting on my hands. I do still have that silver trade, which is going really well so far. Pulling back here a little bit today, I would actually love to see if we can put in some kind of higher low. If we could push off of this today, if you get some cooling inflation numbers today, that would be great for my silver trade. We've got just about 3 minutes to go here. Nick, what about your gold lifetime group? Is there also different prices for people living in the Philippines? Shoot us a message. We can get you the biggest discount right now. We're doing a huge discount on VIP right now. So if you have an interest in joining us, you can chat with our support team right here. If you click this link, ask them for the biggest possible discounts on VIP membership, and they can do that for you today. We're doing, we did like a really short-term VIP membership discount today and yesterday. Okay, so silver's pulling back. What I'm looking for here, and I'll tell you what could happen. I'll tell you right now what could happen with my silver trade. I've trimmed my stop loss. My stop loss was initially here. I cut it in half. So I cut my risk in half. What happens if this thing plummets all the way down and I take a loss? What happens? Well, that means I just took a loss. Could it be a frustrating experience if that happens? Sure. But it's part of my strategy. Every strategy has pros and cons. So my approach on silver, if we get, for example, a hot PCE number this morning and silver erases these gains, look, it'll be kind of a bummer, but it's part of the bigger picture of my trading. This silver trade is not going to make or break my trading career. It's one in many trades. I caught a really nice entry, but I need to see the follow through in order to really make this into a great trade. So what I'm looking for here is some sort of higher low to form. If you do get some soft inflation data or just a good reaction to the upside here today, I could take this as an opportunity to trail my stop. If I don't get that, if the market erases all of its gains and I take a loss on silver, it will be a small loss and I will get over it. That is the reality. We've got just about 40 seconds to go. Let me, I'm sorry, not even that long. We got like 10 seconds. We're going to take a look here in just a second at the PC numbers and see what we get. Stay tuned. What you've got here is indices over here: gold, dollar, oil, Bitcoin. little bit of everything on the screen. PC numbers dropping anytime now. No serious reaction as of yet. Little bit up higher on indices and gold. I'm going to guess that was in line with expectations. Yep, 2.6% year over year. 2.9% core year over year. Everything in line with expectations. Okay, so as we mentioned earlier, remember when I gave you the analogy of if I told you there's going to be rain on Saturday and then Saturday came and there was rain on Saturday, it's not really surprising. You probably brought your umbrella. That's what we just saw. We saw expectations for Friday's inflation data to be some softness. I'm sorry, some 2.6% on the year over year headline, and then 2.9% on the core number. Everything came in line with expectations. The predictions that were set by Wall Street, they were right, and they came in just in line with expectations. So we do see in terms of the response here, we've got a muted response, slightly higher on stocks, and gold pretty unchanged. Bitcoin's actually the biggest move I see on this screen right now. Let's go back to take a look here at some individual charts. So again, there is NASDAQ on the 5-minute, really not a big response. Yeah, there's your 1-hour chart. Pretty muted response there on NAS, S&P 500, Dow Jones, dollar index. Here's my silver. Pretty much unchanged, at least on the reaction to that. Gold also pretty unchanged. So yeah, I mean, that would make sense, right? The market kind of expected those numbers and we got those numbers as expected. So it shouldn't really move the market that much, and that makes sense. So everything kind of just didn't move that much, and that is what happens when you get news that kind of meets the expectations of the market. Will this affect rate cuts though? Not very much. We can check that by simply pulling up the 10-year yield, and you can see it's not moving very much. So no, that does not change the course of interest rates by much at all. The euro here against the dollar, a little bit soft this morning, but still sort of just range bound here. I am long the euro. I'm looking for a pushback up towards these highs if we can get that. Pound dollar here pulling back as well a little bit. Dollar yen bouncing up today just a bit. Dollar Swiss, dollar CAD. I took profits on Kiwi Swiss yesterday. This was a really quick trade for me, but I just took profits around here. Still about where I closed it. Went long towards the bottom end of this. Just took like 33 pips out of it. So we'll see what happens with. So you did get indices overnight just pulling back a little bit. Let's take a closer look at gold here. Gold is very interesting because it's now nearing the top end of this range. You have had multiple instances, guys, where we have come up to this level of gold only to be disappointed in the sense that we didn't get any sort of clean breakout. This is crazy. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is going to be our fifth attempt at taking out those highs. I do like the idea of potential gold breakout trades. I think that's a really big level. If you can get that, if you could get something like a close above, right? If you got that kind of move, that would look phenomenal to me for a continuation move above that. We've been consolidating in gold since May of this year. Multiple months where gold really hasn't moved that far. So, yeah. Nick, what made you exit NZD CHF? I just took, I have a couple different CHF trades open, and I just took some profits off of NZD just because it made a move. I liked the trade. And yeah, I'll pull up what my signal looked like just so we can see that. 1 second. Forex trades. So I took it back. I basically just took a bounce trade off of the tariff lows on NZD CHF. And then, yeah, it came up to the top end of its 4-hour chart range, and I just took profits. I trade currencies a little differently than I trade indices and commodities. Currencies, one of the easiest things you can do with currencies, I've said this 1,000 times, pull up the euro dollar, pull up a weekly chart, and scroll out. What do you notice about this chart? It tends to chop back and forth, right? And so with currencies, I'm not necessarily looking for like, a massive trend to ride for weeks and months, like I might be on like a current or on a like an index or a stock or gold, right? Where there's these massive trend potentials. Currencies have this behavior of just choppiness, right? They just love to go back and forth and back and forth. And you can get into the fundamentals of why that really makes sense for currencies. Essentially, you have two economies, both are growing economies theoretically. And so two growing economies, they take turns growing faster or slower than each other. And especially correlated ones like Australia and New Zealand, right? You get this back and forth, back and forth. And that is beautiful if you're a range bound trader. But a currency pair like the Aussie dollar versus the Kiwi dollar is a really ugly one for trend traders because you get these really choppy, you get these back and forth movements. So trading currencies to me, my opinion is it's a little different than trading indices and commodities and things that have, currencies can trend too, do not get me wrong. But currencies are not, look at any performing asset, real estate, gold, silver, stocks. Over time, they tend to drift higher. And so I typically prefer to be long, and I typically prefer to try and let trends run. But currencies, you can't take that same logic and apply it to currencies. Look at dollar CAD, and it's gone essentially, it's in the same spot right now as it was in 2003. It's different, right? It's not the same. If you trade currencies, it's different than trading other things. If you trade Bitcoin, if you trade NASDAQ, if you trade gold, those things have massive trend potential. So do currencies, but I would argue much less than assets that, again, rise in value over time. Does not mean stocks have to go up every day, and that is one of the dangerous misconceptions that, especially in recent years, traders have made, is starting to believe that the NASDAQ goes up every day, so I should just buy the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ dropped, I think it was 90%. I think it was 90%, guys, that the NASDAQ dropped in 2000. So please understand, if you are somebody who thinks, well, stocks just go up, so I'll just buy stocks. 84%. Holy crap. 84%, right? That's what the NASDAQ dropped in 2000. So do stocks tend to go up? Yes, but that does not mean they have to go up every day or can't have horrible drawdowns. So just understand that, it is a dangerous assumption to make, is like, oh, stocks are just going to keep melting up. Maybe, but it's all about risk reward. And in my opinion, as I've been saying, the risk reward on something like the stock indices just is not really attractive. I'd prefer to wait for larger pullbacks and really for the economic data to suggest a little bit more optimism. Right now, we are looking at some rough stuff. And what I mean by that is inflation. So PCE is going to change to in line with expectations. We expected 2.6% year over year PCE numbers. We did get 2.6%. So this will go to neutral, which will slightly be more positive for stocks. At least it's not a hot read, right? That will be more bearish for US dollar. after, or not, it won't be bearish, but this will go from bullish to neutral, which is effectively a slightly more bearish tilt in terms of our USD impact on the US economic heat map. By the way, my friend Bashy in the chat, thank you for mentioning this earlier. The top setups page is currently free on the Edgefinder free version. If you don't have the Edgefinder free version, what am I talking about? Well, we just released for a very limited time. Well, let me back up. We have a free version of the Edgefinder now available on our website. To get access to that, I'll drop a link here in just a second. Edgefinder free version. Hold on, let me grab that link for you guys. Here it is. So if you are interested in trying out the Edgefinder, we do have a free version. Here it is. So the free version is available. All you have to do is fill out this form, and that will send you to the website and get you access to the free version of the tool. So that's part one. Part two is that just this week, we made the top setups page free to use, not forever, not permanently. We got to, the software is very expensive to run. We got to sell copies too. Someone yesterday teased me. They said, "Are you Trader Nick or Salesman Nick?" You know what I said back? I said both. Like, I sell a product that I truly believe in, and I think every trader who wants to be a fundamentalist should own a copy. We've worked way too hard, and I believe in this product way too much not to wholeheartedly sell what we offer. There's nothing wrong with sales, right? Sales is ultimately, it's how the world gets products moved around, right? If you have an iPhone, that's the responsive state of sales, right? So sales is not an evil thing. Selling something that you don't believe in or that is not actually of value, that's where salespeople get a bad rep. But I'm very proud to share the Edgefinder with people because it's a tool that we've worked tremendously hard on and I think is worth every penny. If I didn't think that, I would not sell it. So with that said, we've now offered a free version for people to explore the product that I do transparently want you to purchase someday. It's worth every penny. It's a great software. And if you don't have a copy, now's your chance to try it out for free. So we have the free version. So the free version is not going away. The top setups page is available temporarily on the free version. I hope that makes sense. Nick, I just talked to someone on your team. They're so kind, to someone from the Philippines. I'm going with your VIP tonight. I'm glad. I imagine you spoke with Emily. She's in the office. And yes, she's very nice. So yes, shout out Emily. Is Marco on today? What do we have? We have, who is coming on the stream today? Let me see. Schedule says we've got Kenzo on at 8:45. And then we have, looks like James at 9:15. So there we go. Speaking of top setups, I'm still very much like silver, still very much like gold, still very bearish on dollar. I have a long position on euro dollar, long position on silver. Oil was on the watch list, but I am curious where that's at. Yeah, if oil pops back up into this range, specifically, I wanted to see it pull back to a support level on USO. So if I just pull up USO here, 4-hour chart. Yeah, so I was looking at like this 50% retracement on USO, which is the ETF that I trade. But yeah, I would love to see if oil can squeeze a little bit higher up into that resistance area. That would be of interest to me. Got stocks opening in 45 minutes. Before I purchase it, I'm going to set up everything up. Awesome. Take your time. If you have any questions, as you saw, you can speak with Emily anytime. We have 2 other wonderful support reps as well on our team. So feel free anytime you have questions to just chat with us on the website. We are always happy to help. All right, silver, there we go. A little bit of a bounce here. I mentioned this earlier, but I am looking on my silver trade in order to manage it, I'm looking for a break back through these highs. So if we can get a strong closure today, like above 39, that would be, to me, that would be a nice opportunity to go ahead and take this stop loss and roll it right into profit. But I just want to see this candle close with some conviction. How much longer do we have on this 4-hour candle? Oh, I took off the trading view. Oh, no, we don't. We have 14 minutes. So I might wait for the next candle, see if it can close bullish. And that would be great. So if we could get like a break through these highs to the upside, that'd be nice. PCE came in pretty much exactly with expectations. So we didn't really get too much of a move. Interest rate probabilities remain pretty unchanged. I do have a position on TLT. I forgot to mention this. I have a short put position on TLT, essentially a bullish position on bonds. Again, kind of in line with my theory here. So if we just take a look at, like, if I just write out my positioning right now, short put on TLT, I have the 86 strike price short put on TLT. I think it's a 45 days out. So I have that trade on. It's an options trade. It's so funny when I talk about options now because, man, I remember before I traded options, when I would hear people explain options, I'd be like, that sounds like nonsense and I never want to trade that. And now options, frequency-wise, is the thing I trade the most. I short puts, I short calls. Like, my goodness, it's just kind of surreal to me to think about that for a second, because I remember being like exactly on the other side of the stream, like years and years ago. I'd hear people talk about options and I'd be like, that sounds way too complicated. I'm never touching it. Never say never is all I'm saying. TLT. So I have a short put on TLT, which is a bullish position essentially on TLT. I also have a long silver position. I also have a long euro dollar position. Like 15 different stocks, all with covered calls. Okay, so this is pretty much, oh, and I guess last position is, I think I'm going to roughly say like 30% cash. So let me just explain my positioning here a little bit, because again, options does sound crazy. It is crazy. Options are crazy, but here's the thing. I'm not going to get too far into options because it's not really the audience here. I do have a second channel where I actually talk about options. If you want to see that, search up Trader Nick options. I'm sorry, Trader Nick stocks. But on that channel, I talk about individual stocks and options pretty heavily. Okay, so happy Labor Day Friday to you as well, Shane. Thanks for being here. Hope everybody has a nice long weekend. So check this out. I have an $86 short put on TLT. What does that mean? I shorted. Someone else wanted to make a bearish bet on TLT. I sold them that bet. That's what I did in the options market. Someone else wanted to make a bet that TLT is going to drop 286 or below in the coming weeks. If that doesn't happen, if we're anywhere above that level, I win. And if anywhere below that level, I lose and the options buyer wins. Why on earth would someone make the bet if the price just has to stay where it currently is for me to make money, or go up or go down a little bit? All of these scenarios I win. The only scenario that I lose in a short put position is if the stock drops significantly to the downside below 86. And I could have also sold the 85, or I could sell the 84. My probability of winning goes up substantially the further I sell that put out of the money, is what they call that. Options are amazing once you understand them. They're a complex financial instrument and they're really cool. The coolest thing, man. I love options trading. I don't like buying them. I like selling them. Some people love buying them, and there's people who make a lot of money buying options. There's not one right way. In fact, the options market is so diverse in what you can do. So check this out. Short puts, you're selling someone else a put. Someone else wants to buy a put. It's a big bearish bet. If you think the stock or the index or gold or silver, you can do options on everything. If you think the price is going to stay still, move higher, move a little lower, all those scenarios, you can do really well. It's essentially like selling insurance. Someone else wants to buy insurance. If the thing drops, they get paid out, right? If you sell that to them, you can lose a lot of money with options, just like everything else. It is sort of a leveraged idea, especially if you're buying calls, buying puts. But yeah, anyways, moving on from that. I'm also long silver. I like the silver position quite a bit. Today's data didn't really change too much in terms of the overall perspective. Silver is rebounding nicely here. Let's see if we can get a recapture, start taking momentum to the upside. That would be great. I could trail a stop. So this is on trailing stop alert. I'm looking for an opportunity to trail. I'm long euro dollar. If we get a pop higher in euro dollar, it's not looking like we're going to get that today. Price is lower here today. Yeah, so euro's a little lower. I'd be looking to take some profits if euro dollar makes a move higher. Specifically back to that, pull up your daily chart on the euro. I'm looking for a move back to the highs, take profits. And then I have a basket of stocks. I own a lot of different stocks: NVIDIA, Amazon, Google, Hood, Airbnb, a whole bunch of them. And everything, almost everything that I own, I have covered calls on. Without explaining too much about what covered calls are, I'm short calls and also own the stock. It allows me to hedge some of the downside in exchange for capping my upside. It's a nice way to create income from holding stocks, and you can still get paid just for holding them. You just cap your upside. Again, options are hard for me to kind of like bite-sized mention in this, but I'm collecting some premium on covered calls. I own a bunch of stocks. I also have a good bit of cash sitting on the sidelines. So if the stock market rolls over bigger, I have more room to get into some stuff that I like. When I say cash, sometimes people are curious about this, especially traders who are outside of the US who do not trade. So if you trade with like a CFD brokerage, then this concept of cash can be confusing. If you trade with a stock brokerage, you know what I mean by this. When you trade in a stock brokerage, let's say you deposit $10,000 and you have $3,000 that is just not invested in anything. It's not, you haven't bought any stocks, you're not in any cryptos, you're not in anything. That money just sitting in your account, that's just cash in the account. Dry powder is often what is referred to as well. So I have dry powder sitting on the sidelines waiting to deploy. Why would you, now if you have a cash position, right? Cash position gives you room to adjust. I am not a big fan of like, oh, always have cash in your portfolio. I'm not necessarily a big fan of that. But having cash on the sidelines, especially when you think stocks are a little stretched, like I do, can be a great position to stay flexible. Now that cash will look silly if the stock market rips, right? Because then you're like, dang, I should have just been invested. But you can always play that game. People who are all in right now will feel really silly if they have no cash and the stock market starts dropping and they have no money to buy anything, right? Just something to think about. Any brokers for EU, Nick, which have an easy option setup like Webull? So, Roberto, that's a great question. So I need to do some research on this, but let me show you something. We have a bunch of brokers listed on our website, and I'm just going to explore this with you. You can head over to our website, a1trading.com/brokers. Disclaimer, everything on this page is an affiliate or referral link. If you sign up with any broker using our links, it doesn't hurt you in any way, but it does support the show. So if you're looking for a broker, highly recommend you take a second to go check out this page, because if you're willing to, like, okay, if you're someone who's like, oh, I'm looking for a better brokerage anyways, pause and just, there's free money on the table. Okay. Go to this page, a1trading.com/brokers. And what you will see is when you go click through all these different countries, find your country, select your country. Usually there's some good offers available to you, right? If you are specifically looking for options and you're in Europe, let me see, European countries. I think 8cap doesn't offer it. You can trade CFDs with a lot of these brokers, but if you're looking to specifically trade options in Europe, it's not a, we don't have an affiliate referral with them, but Interactive Brokers, I think, is the most commonly known one that I use, or not that I use. Actually, I do actually, I have an Interactive Brokers account. I have multiple portfolios. My main public portfolio is the Webull one that I talk about all the time, but I have an Interactive Brokers account. I have a Robinhood account. But Interactive Brokers, I think, is very international friendly for options trading. But don't quote me on that. And to be honest, you might still check if Webull offers it to your country, because Webull is my favorite. Interactive Brokers is not good, man. Oh man, I love Interactive Brokers. I've used them for years. I don't necessarily love their trading platform, to be completely fair and honest. I much prefer Webull's platform. But from a broker stability standpoint, Interactive Brokers is an OG. It's a bit messy. Yeah, it's not ideal. Like it's like a little, it just feels a little antiquated, right? Just Interactive Brokers just feels a little like old tech when you're trading with it. Does anybody agree with that? Does Interactive Brokers, if you've ever traded with it, doesn't it feel like you're using like old technology, like 1,000-year-old technology? Can the Edge Finder do things like sugar? We don't have soft commodities in the Edge Finder at this time. We may consider them in the future. We periodically do get that question. But yeah, help us bring Webull to Europe. I'll let them know. I actually am. We have some sponsorship work going on with Webull pretty soon, which is cool. But I have no say on if they come to Europe or not. That's a much bigger decision than I can make. Nick, how good is the correlation between TLT and JPY? It goes in and out. We talked about this, Samuel, a couple of weeks ago on the stream. But you can always check this yourself. Go to your indicators, look up correlation coefficient, go let's go, TLT, and then switch your chart to USD JPY. And you can see right now there's very low correlation. For a while, there was a negative correlation between dollar yen and TLT, positive correlation. If you were to change this to like a longer term, let's go 200. You can see lately there's not been very much of a correlation. For a while there, it was a pretty negative correlation, meaning that if dollar yen moved up, TLT would be moving down, right? So, but yeah, recently the correlation seems to have broken up a little bit. Interactive Brokers and Bloomberg Terminal have one thing in common. They never change their look no matter how many years have passed. Royal Trades, I'm with you. Join the revolution. Get the Edge Finder. We're fighting the big Bloomberg Terminal. Somebody got so mad at me. Somebody wrote me a novel the other day. Okay, you ready for this? And I was like, I didn't even read it. Like I probably should have, just out of respect for how much time this person took. They blocked out their evening to write me a comment. Okay, and their comment was blocked out the evening. They made coffee. They sat down. They had their pen and paper. Their hand was swelling from how hard they wrote this down, because they wrote it on paper and then they typed it up and dropped it in my YouTube comments. And what they said was, how dare you compare the Edge Finder to the Bloomberg Terminal, right? And so obviously I'm rubbing my hands together because I'm like, give me a shot here. And he's telling, oh, Bloomberg Terminal, this and that, it's so good. And how dare you, your Edge Finder's nothing and all this, right? So we had this, like, again, this guy really poured out his heart and soul, and it made me feel terrible when I just deleted the comment one sentence in. I'm just kidding. I didn't delete the comment, but I thought about it. I laughed to myself, and I was like, this, because I clicked, like, you know how you can like click read more in the comment? I mean, I clicked read more, and my screen like froze up. It was so long. So I didn't read much of the comment, but it was basically just like, how dare you? And honestly, I get it, right? Bloomberg Terminal has years on us of development. Like it's a crazy, they have millions upon millions of dollars invested. The Edge Finder I've mentioned in the past, it's been very expensive, but it's been a huge financial commitment to build this software. Huge. I mean, we've had a return on it, don't get me wrong, but it's a huge investment to build these sorts of tools. That's why I always get a kick out of people like saying, oh, it should be free. I'm like, well, then how's it going to pay for itself? But anyways, the person was so upset about this. They were like, how dare you compare it to Bloomberg Terminal? And my case, I didn't respond, but my thought process was, look, at the end of the day, Bloomberg Terminal is amazing. I've played with it. It's a really cool tool, but its actual practical use case, in my opinion, and that's all I can bring to the table is my opinion, it's not really tradable. It's not very actionable. You have so much data thrown at you, so much stuff being thrown at you that it's almost like unusable. What I kind of built the Edge Finder, the Edge Finder truly is built selfishly by me to help me find better trading opportunities. It needs to be actionable. I need to be able to open the Edge Finder and look at the top status page and get everything I need to know without pouring through data for 6 years, right? Bloomberg Terminal has so much stuff. Credit to them. They've built an incredible product. But our goal with the Edge Finder is not to try and be a better version of Bloomberg Terminal. If you want mountains of data to pour through, Bloomberg Terminal is your thing. If you want actionable, simple to use, user-friendly UI, Edge Finder might be right for you. I don't think I need to have a massive proprietary data set, mountain of indicators to analyze the markets. I think I need something that looks at a lot of that stuff and summarizes it for me. That's what the Edge Finder does, in my opinion, so well. Easier and user-friendly. That's the goal. Like you can give yourself analysis paralysis with Bloomberg. So with that comment, again, this guy wrote, he blocked out 2 hours of time to write this comment to me. It was very angry, a lot of all caps. And I got through the first sentence. It was so long that when I hit delete and didn't read the rest of it, I think I heard him scream. Like he was in another country, but I heard his scream in agony when I deleted the comment. And I'm in the US and the guy was definitely not, like it was far away and I could still hear his scream. It's crazy. I'm just kidding. I did not delete the comment, but I might have to go find that comment because it was, I think I literally pulled up on my phone for like half a second and I was like, oh, come on, give me a break. Yes, I'm not saying the Edge Finder is more powerful than Bloomberg, but it doesn't need to be. You don't necessarily need power. You need clarity and simplicity. That is where the Edge Finder, I think, excels. He may be paid for the Bloomberg terminal and has it for the rest of the year. Okay, let me dog on the competition one more time. If you paid $2,200 a month or whatever it is, $2,000 a month for Bloomberg terminal, I imagine you defend it pretty hard in the comments too. So that's fair. Nick is such a troll sometimes. I gotta dial back the trolling. I'm sorry. I have another, you want to hear just another really quick rant? I have another guy who is insisting that and if he's watching, God, I hope he's watching. He insists that all of my broker login videos are fake and AI generated. I mean, I don't know what else I'm supposed to do. I'm on a live stream and he's like, it's fake. I don't know how you would fake this, right? Look, I don't even claim to be the world. I'm not telling people I'm making 50% per month or millions of dollars every month. I'm not telling anybody that. And yet there's this guy on Twitter who will not give it a break. He's like, your stuff is fake, everything you do. And I'm like, I'm getting trolled right now. Like, I think I'm getting trolled, right? Because this person's like, he's winning. He's getting my attention. I got to stop. But I'm like, I don't know how else to express that my account is not fake, but it's silly. Some people will never be satisfied, especially when I genuinely think, and then we're going to pass the show over to James because he's up next. I genuinely think that, and I say this like not to try and like speak arrogantly, but a lot of people who have really tried to trade and have struggled to get there, they become very bitter. And again, I think when people struggle so much to do it, and it's understandable, trading is hard as anything, man. Like, it's understandable to be upset in your journey. But when people start taking that angry energy and being, if I can't figure it out, absolutely no one can, and everything they're doing must be fake. That is, as my friend Sean says, that is delusion. That is delusion. It's jealousy, it's anger, and it's dangerous. That, my friends, is the problem with comparing yourself to other people on YouTube. Guys, I've been doing this for almost 10 years. 10 long years of study. And guess what? There's also people that I look at who are making millions of dollars per year from the markets. I'm sorry. Yeah, from like, but I can't compare myself to them. They're further along in their journey. It is silly to compare yourself to other people along their journey. But to just like, claim someone's results are fake, especially when they pull it up on a live stream. Like, I don't, it's just silly. You're correct. You are absolutely correct. I've stopped responding, but I've still was just like, some part of you wants to be like, you guys know how it goes. Like, sometimes someone has an issue with you and they are so wrong about it. But what I've learned in my life is that sometimes when somebody is just coming from a place of like anger and hatred, there's nothing you can say to change their mind. And all you'll do is you'll bring down your own energy focusing on them, right? Doesn't mean it's easy to ignore people who, come at you, right? You want to be like, you are so clearly wrong and it's so obvious. And like, how can you stare truth in the face and lie to it, right? Like, but that doesn't do you any good, doesn't really make you feel any better, because at the end of the day, those people are never satisfied and they're just upset and angry, jealous, whatever. I'm sure a lot of people in this room relate, right? It happens to all of us. Like, somebody comes at you and you're like, you are so wrong. But the honorable, noble thing to do, and noble, AKA hard thing to do, is to just peacefully say, I wish you the best, but I got to move on from you. That's it. And that's not, genuinely, it's not really something that I struggle with usually, but every once in a while, someone's comments are so dumb that I'm just like, man, I really, really want to just like, there was one time, and I'll finish on this and then we're going to pass the show over to James. There was one time where somebody was so loud about it and they were tagging me everything, posting things about me. And I said, if you think my account is so fake, bet me on it. And they bet me $6,000 and they paid it because we got on a stream together, or not a stream. It was, we did a private call, and out of respect for this person who was ultimately very apologetic, so that's why I didn't make a big post about it, I turned around and they gave that money to me. And then I gave it to, some of you guys might remember this, I gave it to other traders who would come forth and show their track record. So that was but that person paid it. Yes, they paid that money. That's why I didn't post about it, because I was like, out of respect, they paid the $6,000. And then I used that money, as I told him, to pay it forward to other traders that would come forward and show their track records. So that was where I did the Tory trade video. It was awesome. But yes, they bet me $6,000 that my account was fake. And then I pulled it up, showed all my private statements, logged into the Webull back end. And yeah, I didn't give all the money to Tori. I gave $1,000 to a couple different traders who came forward. Marco is one of them, right? So you guys know Marco from the streams. Marco's one of them that I did that with. He came on. I did a video about my conversation with Marco, conversation with Tori. It was a crazy career moment for me. But he was so insistent that I wouldn't be able to log in front of him and show him the account was real. And I did that. And then he paid me in Bitcoin. And then I sold the Bitcoin for cash immediately and offered it to traders who would do the same. It was awesome. Marco's legit just from his accent. Yeah, I feel like his accent just like, man, it's awesome. Anyways, Up next, guys, we have the one and only James. I think he's ready. He's in the back room. James, if you're good to go, just let me know. And then we can pass the stream over to him. Just waiting for him to give me the good to go message. Might need just a few minutes. I don't see him just yet. Silver down 0.25%. Nice little recovery here. Gold recovers as well. NASDAQ still slightly in the red here this morning. WTI pulling back here a little bit. Bitcoin's down. It was down over 2% this morning. Ethereum down 2.5%. The call premium on this thing is absolutely insane. For the options traders out there, you can trade ETHA. Call premium on this thing is wild. And put premium across, just implied volatility on that is just insane. Euro dollar, pound dollar. Waiting to see. Jealous on the silver trade. It's been a good one. It's been a good trade. So my plan on silver is, as I mentioned earlier, if we can take back these highs, I'm going to trail this stop. What I like about the price action this morning is you had a nice drop here and then reversal. What do you use for options, Nick? Like what broker? Oh, give me a chance here. I got you. I got you. Actually, Chandler, would you mind dropping the Webull link here? If you guys sign up for Webull using my link, they have a special offer for my subscribers. I do have a relationship with the broker that I use, which I have used Webull for like 5 years. And just recently they sponsored, or we're in discussions to do some sponsored work together, which is really exciting. I mean, like I'm a proud Webull user. But yes, I use Webull for all my options trading, ETF trading, stock trading. It is my primary brokerage. Still waiting on James to give me the thumbs up. I haven't seen his camera come on. We can see him in the back studio. Whenever he's ready to go, we'll pass the stream over to him. We're blessed, man. We've got some good partnerships going. We got Webull, Mumu, Oanda, 8cap, Vantage. It's good stuff. And you know what I do with all these partnerships? I try to Audacity Capital. Yeah, I mean, we got DNA Funded. And what we do here is when we negotiate with brokers and prop firms and stuff, I ask them specifically, like, what's the best you can do for the audience? Like, can you give them welcome bonuses? Can you give them deposit bonuses? Can you give them free stock shares when they sign up? Can you match their account if they move it over? Because I'm not a brokerage, right? But I work with a lot of them, and traders deserve the best they can get with their brokerage sign up. It's a very competitive industry. So whenever I negotiate with brokers, when we set up sponsorships, I'm like, I want to give the audience the best possible experience that I can get them. So yeah. Thanks, Andrew. Good to see you, man. What made you choose Webull? I love the trading platform. I also loved that you can trade directly. This was back in the day. They were pretty quick to get on TradingView, which I thought was awesome. Like, you can trade directly on TradingView. There we go. Look at silver making a little bit of a push here. Come on, silver. Give me that opportunity to trail stops. One push through the high here and we're good. Still no word from James. James, if you are, oh, he's here. He's good to go. Oh man, you guys who waited around, you're in luck. Here he comes. Big Forex James taking over the stream just after this quick break. Stay tuned. Last thing I'll mention, sorry, before I move on, top setups page is free to try out this weekend. If you don't have a copy of the Edge Finder free version, we'll drop a quick link here in the chat to where you can get access for a limited time to the top setups page for free to try it out. There it is. All right, up next, Forex James. Stay tuned. If you're someone watching the show right now and you're outside of the US looking for a better brokerage, listen up. I wanted to take a moment to mention today's live stream supporter, Vantage. Vantage allows traders outside of the United States to trade CFDs. You can trade everything from commodities like gold, you can trade US indices or global indices, and you can even trade FX all under one brokerage, and you can connect to MetaTrader 4 and trade directly on tradingview.com. Not to mention, they also have a really good sign-up bonus going on right now. So we'll drop the link to that down below in the chat as well as in the description of this live stream. Check out Vantage. Now back to the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, hello. Happy Friday. I hope you're all well. I hope you've all had a great week. And I hope you've got some exciting plans for the weekend. I don't. I've got nothing to do this week or this weekend. So, how is everyone doing? Nothing's changed for me this week in terms of setups. I was in a pound-dollar long that was stopped out at break-even this morning, which was a bit unfortunate. We had a nice little lift-off here. However, it didn't really fluctuate into anything, which was fine. I was a little bit skeptical on the position going into it, just because of the stagflation concerns in the UK and the general just poor economic bias that I've got within the UK. Gold and silver running really well today. Unfortunately, I'm not in either. I know Nick's in silver, so yeah, nice catch by him. But unfortunately, I just didn't catch it. Gold. Same thing, not really interested just yet. I'd love to be a buyer, but not within this range. Nat gas, I would quite like to be a buyer, but not yet. Dollar ZAR, I'm still relatively bearish on the dollar. We had PCE come out today. I'm sure Nick already ran through PCE with you, so I'm not going to do all that. But generally, or just to quickly cover it, month on month stayed the same, and we had year on year come up, not come down, come up to 2.9. It was still within forecast. However, higher inflation slightly dampens that rate cut narrative, not by much in my opinion, but we did see the dollar gain some strength off the back of that, which was one of the reasons my pound dollar trade was stopped at break even. So let's just have a quick look at the FedWatch tool. Ball out says Nat gas is the play. I'm sure it is ball out. But I'm just not knowledgeable enough in Nat gas to start being a buyer just yet. I really need to do some research on it this weekend. Silver is not trustable. Look at previous data. What do you mean, RBS? Slugmeister, hello. Good to see you. Bashi, hello. CS integrated. Yeah, I did take a quick break, but I'm back. I did a little bit of traveling. I was away in June, went to Miami, and I was away at the sort of start of August. I had to take care of some business in London. So yeah, been a bit inactive over the past 1 to 2 months, but I'm back now. So no need to be knowledgeable, I'm telling you. Okay, fair enough. So the rate cut expectations have increased slightly. We've seen this sort of dip around a little bit. It's not changed dramatically though. We can see it's been relatively stable around the 80 to 90% area. So I think we can pretty much go into September with a confident idea that we are going to have that rate cut. However, beyond that, we'll see. Actually, let's just have another quick look and see what we are expecting for October and December. So 0% chance for 50. We've got 45. Sorry, not 50. 50's here. 45, 48. So yeah, we're pretty much expecting a rate cut. Oh wait, hold on. Sorry, I'm misspeaking here. So if September we're expecting a rate cut down to 425 or 4, then we could get about 50-50 of a rate hold or a rate cut by 25 basis points. And then December is still very, very mixed. So yeah, beyond September, it seems like we're still in a little bit of a foggy area. The dollar seems to be sort of sideways ranging with a slight drift to the downside here. No dramatic moves since Jackson Hole. We did see a run to the upside and then a very quick correction back to the downside. So basically just sound wave type price action here. Nothing too interesting to talk about. I would be interested in seeing the dollar come back down to around 97.2. I think that's a reasonable target to have. And that would also bring the weekly into this nice level of support that we've got around here. Beyond there, we could see the dollar come down to 90. I'd be very, very surprised if we did see that, to be honest. I think that would be a serious turning point for the dollar. But beyond that, we'll see. I'm not really too interested beyond sort of the next 1 to 2 weeks anyway. So back to the point, dollars are, I think, would be a pretty nice short position here. If we just take a quick look at the edge finder, you'll see we've also got dollars are, dollar CAD, dollar Swiss, and dollar yen all reading very bearish or bearish. I'm actually quite happy with a potential entry here. I'm not going to take it because it's Friday. Generally, I like to stay away from placing new trades on a Friday. So maybe on Monday or Tuesday, there could be an entry coming up here. New Zealand yen, I still like the idea of this one. We've got the RBNZ expected to have 2 more cuts this year. And we've also got the idea that the Bank of Japan could hike rates or continue their path to normalization as soon as October. So that does give us a pretty nice central bank divergence there. So if we could come back up into this 200 moving average, I'd be quite happy to take a short position and sort of just let it run and see what happens. The thinking also relates here to dollar yen, exactly the same theory. If we've got the Fed cutting rates, we've got the Bank of Japan continuing their path to normalization, pretty self-explanatory. Dollar Swiss also the second most bearish reading. I've just remembered actually the dollar yen here got to score -15. I don't think I've been using the edge finder for 2.5, maybe 3 years at this point. It's been a long time. I've never, or as far as I remember, I don't think I've ever seen something with a score of -15, which is kind of crazy. May have happened once or twice, but I can't remember. And New Zealand US dollar, I think this could be a nice opportunity to buy low, sell high. However, it's just this H4 trend that's putting me off a little bit. It's quite aggressive to the downside, very, very typical. Lower highs being formed here. So I just need to see some sort of breakout, and then I can start looking to be a buyer. But just right now, it's a little bit premature in my opinion. Anyway, quick fire done. Sorry, I wasn't reading the chat during that. Let me have a look. When we're going to Indonesia, and that move's been put off twice now. I was meant to move back in April, and then I was meant to move, actually now, I was meant to be moving at the end of August. However, I've had some problems with certain factors that have come into play, so I've had to postpone it again, which has been unfortunate. Can you look at Swiss yen? Yeah, we can have a look at Swiss yen. We don't have anything for Swiss yen on the edge finder. The trend has been incredible here. This run has been fantastic. So it makes it difficult for me to want to be a seller. Want to be a buyer. But I also wouldn't really want to be a seller. Let me just take a quick look at the central bank outlooks here, just so I can refresh my memory. So we need the S&B. So the S&B is sitting dovish to neutral, with the S&B maintains ultra-loose monetary policy amid slowing GDP growth and subdued inflation. Watch Q3 inflation data, global risk factors impacting Swiss strength. Then, as we've already discussed, we could be expecting, or should be expecting, Bank of Japan to hike in October. So we do have a pretty solid reason to be sellers of Swiss yen, but the Bank of Japan likes to throw me for a loop sometimes, because I was a seller during this period with exactly the same theory. I was quite confident in the idea. Actually, I think I was sat on this stream back in January, February, March period saying that I was very, very confident that this market was going to go down. Then we had trade war escalations. We had economic uncertainty in Japan. We had the rate hikes getting paused. So it was just not the right time. Now, I think we might be coming into the environment where we could start seeing Swiss yen come down lower, but I need to see some sort of confirmation. I don't think I would be a seller in this market until we've already had that rate hike and a rate cut by the S&P, just confirming that they are on those paths again. But then, you know, as I said, being a seller here is a little bit tricky unless we can form a very convincing lower high just because of this trend here. But I also, like I said, I wouldn't want to be a buyer because of the central banks. So yeah, it puts me in a difficult situation right there. Okay, so let me just see if there's anything else to discuss. Euro dollar is getting a bullish reading. I don't think I've been paying any attention to euro dollar actually. Let's see. Yeah, so he's just stuck in a range. We discussed on the last stream, I think it was Wednesday. I think Wednesday was the last time I was on the stream. But the outlooks for euro dollar are still bullish, but the upside from a historical standpoint is seeming quite limited because we had such a bullish movement over we had such a bullish movement on euro dollar over a very short time span. Historically, when we see that type of behavior on euro dollar, we can expect anywhere between, well, anywhere from a 0.8% increase. Maximum, I think, was 2.3%. So the upside, again, from a statistical standpoint, is very limited unless we get some sort of data to continue driving euro dollar higher. But the general outlook is still at 1.2. So if you can find some sort of or some way into euro dollar within this range, I think 1.2 to 1.21 could be a very sensible take profit level. Ballout says euro dollar down is the play. I completely agree, Ballout. I think we could see euro dollar plummet off a cliff soon. When I say plummet off a cliff, I don't mean it's just going to, you know, one FU candle down. I just mean generally, I think we are going to see euro dollar start climbing down towards maybe, I think first long-term target could be between 140 and 137. Longer term could be 127. And then if we continue to see that yield gap get reduced, what I mean by the yield gap is, hold on, just give me a second. If we can see that continue to get reduced, we could start seeing these levels down here between 120, 116, 115 get tapped into. So this is the yield gap I'm talking about. Obviously, US yields are at 4.2 and yen, or the Japanese government bonds down here, are 1.6. So as we get the Bank of Japan hiking, we could or should see the Japanese government bonds start to increase, and we could expect the 10-year treasuries by the or US 10-year treasuries start to decrease as the Fed cuts, reducing that yield gap, then negatively affecting dollar yen. Sweet. Okay. Let me just go here. But yeah, the issue really, same thing really with dollar Swiss, is I just don't like to trade in these ranges unless we could see these highs getting hit again. Then I would take a position here. Something like this, I think, will be fine. We've also got the bank targets here. So we've got MUFG currently in a short position with the targets at 143.5. We've got Goldman Sachs and Nomura with targets at 142. So that's something to keep in mind as well. I think we could see those targets get hit within the next 6 months, maybe. That might even be a bit too long. We'll see. The SW, we've just covered Swiss yen, my friend. Rewind maybe 10 minutes. You'll see me talking about Swiss yen. Gold is beginning to rip. Yeah, I think being a seller in gold is a little bit of a hassle. I feel a little bit sorry for the bears here. I think the only option to be a seller would be at the highs, expecting this range to just continue sideways. But that's that's tricky as we are coming into the Fed cut. Yeah, don't worry, you don't need to apologize. It's all good. That's what I'm here for. I expect some nonsense news over the weekend to take this to all-time highs. What type of news over the weekend are you expecting? Target is 142, 144. Sounds good. That's kind of between the two bank targets, so I think that's reasonable. I've just realized I'm not checking the schedule today. Let me just make sure. Okay, sweet. So I'm the last person on today. Let's just check the economic heat maps as well. I've not checked these since our last stream. So dollar or US dollar sitting flat at 50%. Same thing with the euro. Again, as I said, euro dollar upside does have potential, but I think it is limited. Pound is still got a score of 71, but I really don't like the pound. I think there's a lot of underlying problems within the UK. So even if we did get some short-term bullish moves for the sterling, I think being a swing trader or even a position trader on the pound is very dangerous if you are a buyer. Fed Cook losing lawsuit. Yeah, it's interesting to see what's going to happen with the Fed and Trump. Yen is at 67, New Zealand dollar. There's nothing here that's really piquing my interest. I think yen longs potentially are like the only option that is quite clear in my opinion. I like the idea of dollar shorts, and that pains me to say because I find it quite difficult to say that because I am generally quite optimistic about the US. However, I don't know, I've just got a really bad feeling at the moment. Again, we are coming to those rate cuts. There's still some uncertainty. We did have GDP increase, actually. Let's have a look at that just for a second. So we had news come out yesterday that looked pretty good for the dollar, but it actually didn't really do that much of a positive, didn't give much of a positive impact at all. What am I looking for? Down here, there we go. Economic growth, we need GDP, there we go. So yeah, GDP increased to 3.3, forecast was 3. So yeah, significant increase actually because we had 3 negative GDPs in a row. Then we've got a massive beat here, not just from previous, but also even a big beat from forecast from 2.5 to 3. Then another beat here from 3 to 3.3. So we've had quite impressive data actually from the GDP aspect of the US. But again, I don't think it's enough. The pulverizer hasn't been pulverizing the streams these days. Yeah, I think I can't remember exactly what happened, but I think he's doing something else these days. I think he still comes on these streams, just not as frequently. But I think he's got another thing that's taking up his time these days. You forgot it's Friday. Yeah, I'm off to the pub tonight. I'm going to go and start some fights and cause some chaos. No, I'm joking. I'll be sat in the corner having a beer and going home because my life is just so exciting. Yeah, I've got that trader influencer lifestyle. Get a private jet to the pub. Okay. David F. Winston Churchill, The Late Hour. Or is that a book ball out or what? Favorite beer? I don't have a favorite beer, you see. It's all very situational. If I'm going to the pub just to have a drink, I like a Guinness or what's it called? A Moretti. Guinness or a Moretti is pretty good. If I'm eating, I'm not going to have a Guinness because it's very heavy. So I'll probably just go for a Asahi or a lemonade. I quite like IPAs. Neck oil is quite nice. I think that's... I can't remember if that's the brand or if that's the flavor. I'm not sure. But neck oil is pretty good. Anyway, let's keep this PG-13. So US dollars are. I quite like this trade, but again, I'll wait for now. New York Stock Exchange open, actually not very interesting. Pretty flat. I suppose the Dow has been bullish into the open. NASDAQ was bearish into the open. However, on the open, really not that much of excitement here because it's only this candle. Obviously, it's Friday, so I wouldn't expect much anyway. Trump to sue Bashi. Yeah, I mean, well, next time we come on stream, I'll see Bashi with a GoFundMe. Help me fight Trump in court, legal fees, with a target of $1 million. Might get Nick to donate his trading account to help Bashi. You never know. Sweet. Okay. I'm just trying to think, is there anything to cover that we've not already covered, or that I assume Nick wouldn't have covered? I don't think there is really anything. So I'm just having a quick think. Is there any chart requests? I think we've done the majority of main ones. We did Swiss yen. We had a quick look at gold, but again, I just can't justify being a buyer of gold. At least, I think the only way I could really be a buyer is if we see a very clean break, retest, and then continuation here. Or in the other situation, which would be more ideal, is we fail to break out here, just like we have done previously, and then we come back down into these lows, whether it be here, here, or even down here, and then I could look to be a buyer at these points. I think that would be the ideal situation. However, I think that's more of a hopium idea rather than a realistic idea. By the way, I've still got your prediction on here. Remember, was it yesterday? No, Wednesday. We asked, so A1 viewers expect range to break at the rate cut. So I've still got that marked there. So you guys might be wrong. We might get that. We might get that break in the next couple of days. Check lumber, but I'm not checking lumber. I don't know what the ticker is for lumber. Australian dollar yen. Bashi said November. All right, fine. I'll tell you what, we'll add Bashi's own one here as well. I need an exact date though. Bashi expects gold break range. Okay. October. I mean, it's a long time for gold to be in a range. Let's just leave it there for now. November, we're gonna have a range all the way up until that. Definitely possible, but crazy. So who said? Someone said a chart, and I can't remember what it was. CAD yen. I think there was Australian dollar yen as well, wasn't there? Okay, let's have a quick look at those, and then I'll call it a day. So CAD yen and CAD Swiss have got bearish readings. So CAD yen's got -6, CAD Swiss is -7. So CAD Swiss is where I would prefer to pay attention to, but obviously you asked for CAD yen, so this is where we'll look. So we've already got an established downtrend here, so that's quite nice. Overall higher time frame downtrend as well with these lower highs. So I think being a seller on a technical aspect makes sense. We've also got the edge finder to back that idea up. So let's just see if we could find an entry somewhere here. So I guess there's two options. We are seeing price at this 200 moving average. So there is an aggressive option to be a seller here with a stop just above these highs, maybe something like this. Or if you want to be a bit more conservative and a bit more long-term, you could look for a position on the 50% retracement that's already been rejected here and look for this to basically just be the new resistance with a take profit at the lows, or you could have a take profit down here towards the 105 level. I think that's reasonable. Oh, Kenzo didn't turn up. Oh, interesting. How rude. He's in South Africa though, isn't he? Don't they have the power outages or something over there? I could be wrong, but I'm fairly sure that is the case. So we looked at Aussie yen. I think it was at the start of the week, and I was saying that technically it looks pretty nice to be a seller just because of the trend here. It's very, very clean, very easy to read. However, with the Bank of Japan, and let me just check the RBA stance. Bear with me for a second. So the RBA is hawkish to neutral. RBA holds steady after August rate cut to 3.6, flags inflation risks and productivity challenges. November rate cut remains possible. So there's still a possibility of the RBA to cut rates, and again, the Bank of Japan likely hiking rates in October. We could see something like this, and I think this is the only approach I could take because I couldn't justify being a seller unless I was already long. Unless it was a hedge. Wait, hold on. Sorry, that's completely wrong. I've completely messed up my idea there. I've been talking, I've got the Friday brain. So if we are, so we're expecting the Aussie to cut, sorry, the RBA to cut rates, and we've got the Bank of Japan hiking rates, we actually would want to be sellers here. So ignore everything I just said over the past sort of 2 minutes, because I think being a seller actually might make sense here. Might make sense here, yeah. Something like this, I think, could make some sense. I quite like that idea. So again, I think Monday, Tuesday would be the opportunity to get in. I would like to see the daily close rejection, showing rejection off here, because again, it's a very, very simple trend. However, in my opinion, when something like this is too obvious, it's often too good to be true. So I have a feeling we might see something like this. It might come up to create a double top, then come down. I don't know. We'll see. But that's something I'm a bit cautious of. So yeah, I'll leave that one with you. But yeah, again, I do apologize. I got the first couple of minutes of Aussie yen completely wrong. Oh, you have load shedding in South Africa. What is the load shedding thing all about? Is it because there's too many people using the electric and they can't sustain it, or what? I'll have to look into that, because I hear about it quite often, but I don't know why that happens. Surely you two aren't arguing about the way to say Aussie yen. Yeah, but I know the lights go off, but I mean, why do the lights go off is my question. Demand suppresses supply. Okay, so it is, yeah, okay, it makes sense. Interesting. But surely they would just fix it. just do better. Just get more electric. Like, why is, I don't know, whatever. To be fair, actually, speaking of this is a complete side note, complete fly off the markets, but the UK has a similar thing. So during peak times, specifically during like the World Cup and mass viewing times in the UK, the energy providers have to anticipate the breaks in the show, because so many people take, obviously, during the break of the show, they will go and make teas, coffees, and that massively surges the usage. If they didn't plan for that and increase the supply for that period, that we would have the same problem in South Africa. I found that really interesting, but maybe that's just me being boring. The Gulf suing people who use solar. Interesting. I don't have Starlink. No, I've been told to get it, but no, I don't. Tatienda's going for a 10K run tomorrow. Very nice. Enjoy your 10K run. Aussie yen broke out of uptrend on weekly and monthly. Wait, hold on. It broke out of uptrend. I wouldn't say anything's broken from my perspective just yet. However, I do see what you're saying. It's almost doing that, isn't it? And yeah, you're right. This monthly looks, interesting. However, a lot of the yen pairs look similar just because it's been such a good carry trade over the past couple of years. So I wouldn't look into the higher time frame trends too much with the yen pairs, and that's obviously a rule I personally only use on yen pairs, because we could see that carry trade unwind. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I think I'm going to call it a day there. I'm going to go and enjoy my Friday. Guys, have a good one. I hope you've all had a great week, as always. I'll see you next week, probably. Depends on I'm scheduled in again. I probably am. Guys, have a good one. Enjoy your weekends. Stay safe, and I'll speak to you all very soon. Thank you for being here, and make sure you subscribe and like.
Thanks for watching today's show. Remember to subscribe if you're new and to turn on post notifications so you don't miss the next one. If you're looking for more free trading content, consider joining our Telegram channel, linked in the description down below, or find free courses, prop firm discounts, and broker sign-up perks on our website a1trading.com. That's all for today. We'll see you back tomorrow.